Colorado sky. Friday night's calling and the towns go quiet. From Doug Shaw Memorial to John McKissick Field, Carolina football, it's the heart we feel. Pickup trucks line up, tailgates in a row, Hyatt Stadium's rocking, Abbeville's ready to go. The Sumter Gamecocks charge, Gaffney's standing tall, every small town's dreaming neath the lights of fall. Four-quarter Friday, where the heartbeats pound, Carolina shuts down every town. From the first snap to the final play, we're living for the glory of a four-quarter Friday. In Gilbert, America, the bleachers fill with pride. Cheerleaders shout, the band's playing, no one's staying inside. The boys in pads hit hard, chasing that old dream. Under stadium lights, it's more than just a team. Mamas clutch their programs, daddies yell the calls, grandpas talk of legends in these hallowed football halls. From the low country marshes to the upstate's clay, four-quarter Friday lights the Carolina way. Four-quarter Friday, where the heartbeats pound, South Carolina shuts down every town. From the first snap to the final play, we're living for the glory of a four-quarter Friday. Shaw's roar to McKissick's sacred ground. Hot stadium's fire, you can feel the sound. Sumter Gamecocks fly, Gaffney holds a line, J-Mo run the dang ball, we're screaming for a sign. Rivalries burn bright, the clock's ticking down. On four-quarter Friday, we're the talk of town. When the whistle blows and the scoreboard fades away, the lessons from the field guide us every day. Teamwork, grit, and pride, it's more than just a score. Carolina football's what we're fighting for. From the PD rivers to the upstate's misty hills, four-quarter Friday gives our hearts a thrill. Four-quarter Friday, where the heartbeats pound, South Carolina shuts down every town. From the first snap to the final play, we're living for the glory of a four-quarter Friday. So here's to the Palmetto boys, giving it their all on a four-quarter Friday. South Carolina stands tall.
Welcome to Four-Quarter Friday, part of the Chief Sports Network. Talking South Carolina high school sports every Friday morning, hosted by Justin Hall and Steve Hall. With weekly appearances from coaches, players, and media around the state. Let's go! Kick off the first quarter. Here's Justin and Steve. Happy Friday.
And that's right. Welcome in. It is Four Quarter Friday on the Chief Sports Network. Justin Hall, Steve Hall with you on a Friday morning. It is September 19th, year of our Lord 2025. A lot to get to today. We got news and we got conversations that need to be had. We got Coach Bush coming up in just a little bit from North Augusta. They got a region opener against the Gilbert Indians tonight. That is at North Augusta, if I'm not mistaken. I believe they're hosting Gilbert tonight as I look at my paper. So that should be a great conversation with Coach a little bit later on. A lot of region openers tonight, a lot of storylines beginning to form. Rivalry games are happening. So before we dive in, and we'll start with the news, Steve, how you doing on a Friday morning?
Coming in on two wheels, dude. Coming in on two wheels, literally and figuratively. It feels like I'm in the market for a new vehicle, and dude, it's brutal out there. High prices and high interest rates on used trucks and used cars in general. So,
well, I will tell you that JT's
right.
Kia does sponsor the SEC, the drive around the SEC with Mike Morgan. So who knows? Maybe we can get you something there. All right, there's a lot to get to. And I want to make sure we get to everything today. I want to make sure we get to every game we can. I want to make sure we talk about every single player that we possibly can today. But we start with two players that, well, we probably would have been talking about anyway, but it's worth mentioning. This from Lou Bezjak in State Newspaper. This was out yesterday. Former Fairfield Central quarterback Cam McMillan has left South Point and has enrolled at Keenan in the middle of the year. Now, again, there's the beginnings of this that I have qualms with. Not with the kid. Please understand. I have no problem with these young men, kids doing this necessarily. Fairfield Central, South Point, Keenan. You're only in high school for 4 years if you do it right. Javon Gilmore was the starting quarterback at Gaffney. He was splitting some time, but he was a starting quarterback at Gaffney. He is now at Ridgeview on Thursday, yesterday. And he was at Ridgeview his freshman year, and then at Ben Lippen his sophomore year, then at Gaffney his junior year, and now back at Ridgeview halfway through his senior season. Now, Steve, again, I think there might be different reasons for this, whether it's playing time or whether it's actually moving from the upstate to the Midlands. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But he was committed to Arkansas, was Javon Gilmore, and he's now decommitted from Arkansas, all within the same day. The big key here is, can they even play? That's the big question, because the eligibility rules are such that makes this highly unlikely that they even play this year.
Yeah, according to our friend Lou Bezjak, I mean, there is a possibility for them to play under the rule, but is there enough season left? I'm not really sure. I mean, and there are certain circumstances that bypass those sit out periods. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there, because we don't know their situations. Maybe they have some situations that are a lot bigger than football and need to have that grace or that special circumstance that allows them to play this year. As it relates to Gilmore, coming from Gaffney to Ridgeview, even if he can play, I mean, he's going to have to supplant Ashton Chapman, I believe, if my memory's working well. He's playing very, very well in replace of Coach Howard's son, Trey Howard, who's injured for the rest of the season. So, you can transfer, but you got to beat. I mean, these coaches aren't just going to put you in there if you can't beat out the guy who's doing well.
Right, exactly. And again, you're right. We don't know the reasons for these transfers. I will just tell you this. This is the first year with a free one-time transfer rule in South Carolina. It was approved by the state's athletic directors in March at their spring convention. So under this rule, students can have one penalty-free transfer during the first 6 semesters. That's basically their entire first 3 years. As long as the transfer happens, here's the key, on or before the start of practice of the sports season in which the transfer occurs. Current seniors were grandfathered in, so they could also have a one-time transfer this year. Thus, these players were obviously able to transfer. If the student transfers once games have started, here's the key. They face ineligibility of 22 calendar days or a third of the maximum of number of games, whichever is less. And I'm not smart enough to figure that out right now. They
Not on the
also
fly.
they also wouldn't be eligible for the playoffs. So teams around the state that have already played 3 or 4 games in a 10-game regular season, and season ends on Halloween on Friday, October 31st for a lot of teams. Some teams have chosen to play the day before. Exceptions to this rule are McKinney-Vento placement. That's if a student is experiencing homelessness. DSS court-ordered placement in a home, verified bullying, and or military transfer. Those are the exceptions to this rule, to this standard. So again, remains to be seen. It's an interesting situation. Obviously, we got some high-profile names in there. South Point playing well with Jazavian Currents, got a win last week over Northwestern. Gaffney has scuffled out of the gate. We'll see if they can get things together as they hit region play here this weekend and the next. And then Ridgeview, I think, is the interesting case study, not to mention Keenan. Keenan's actually playing really well right now. Keenan's having a
Yeah.
really good year, and they're about to enter region play here in a couple of weeks, and they play a tough region. Ridgeview is in an interesting spot too, Steve. We talked about them multiple times. They had a big win over Camden. Just walked them. Ridgeview did, and they're playing really well with Ashton Chapman. So I'm not really sure if Javon Gilmore will actually play there, and if they even need him to play in terms of just giving an offense a spark. They have a spark now with Ashton
Yeah.
Chapman offense. So we'll see what happens there. But again, that's the newsiness of our program today, right off the top.
Well, you mentioned Ridgeview, dude. I had to just talk about it just real quick because they're on a bye week. We got to get to some games, but I was there last Friday night, and they played such complimentary football: offense, defense, special teams. I think they scored. Yeah, they did score on offense, defense, and special teams, which that's a big reason why they beat Camden by such a wide margin. But something you got to think about, just culture. The coaches, these programs that are winning a lot, all have that in common. They have a great culture. And what I saw last Friday night is those kids really are close and they're playing really well together because they love each other and excited for each other when they, are making plays. And so, they got a good thing going over there in View County. So it'll be interesting to see how the quarterback stuff shakes out with this new news.
And they've got a good team too, as you said. They've got a good team all around. And so they're again, a tough start for them, but that Dutch Fork game, a loss, told me a lot more about them. And I was actually more confident in them coming out of that game than I was going into it. Let's dive in. If you're new to Four Quarter Friday, we go around the state and we talk about every single game. We let you know every single game that's happening tonight in the state of South Carolina. And we do it by region. We do it by breaking the state into 4 different quarters. So just as a note, and I know Coach Bush is in the wings waiting, because we're doing 4 regions instead of 5, the CSRA is included in the Midlands and so on and so forth. So we have to draw some lines that may not be there, but we have to fit people in where we can. So we're going to start in the PD. By the way, if you're at any game this Friday night, make sure to download the Chief Sports app. There you can check all the scores. You can even stream some games that you're not at. Make sure you download the app and then stick around on the Chief Sports Network at 10 o'clock for the preview show with JB, JC, Phil, and a cavalcade of guests. All right. Housekeeping out of the way. Let's get rolling here into the PD area of the state. Carolina Forest is hosting Ashley Ridge tonight. Carolina Forest off to a 2-1 start. Got a good thing going there. The Rams of Chesterfield, 3-1 to start the year after that loss to Johnsonville. They've rattled off 3 straight. They're hosting the McBee Panthers, who are 0-4. The Blue Jackets of Aner travel to Conway. The Tigers, they've fallen on some tough luck this year, off to an 0-4 start. And I think a couple of those, they really could very well be 2-2 this season at the minimum. They played some tough ball games, very gritty defensive matchups. Steve, here's one I've circled, and it's Lower Richland traveling over to take on Darlington. And again, I'm not going to waste my time talking about regions and how ridiculous it is that Lower Richland and Darlington are in the same region and South Point and AC Flora are in the same region. I'm not going to go there because it doesn't matter. But Lower Richland travels to Darlington tonight. Darlington's 2-2. And how about this? Lower Richland opened the year, Steve, with a loss to Lugoff Elgin. Since then, they're outscoring their opponents 97-15 are the Diamond Hornets. They've turned it on. They're finding a rhythm. They've got a documentary coming out about them. They're rolling here. And it's a Region 5 4A opener for both teams. Darlington, sitting at 2-2, though, Steve, has been outscored by their opponents this season. So they've gotten some wins. I like what Coach Johnson's doing over there. They're our Darlington Falcons. But they got to get it turned around here. And now we're entering into region play, right? For a lot of teams, it's the start of region play this week. And this is when it matters. This is when the wins count, really. This is when you're going to get some playoff positioning. Man, I like Lower Richland on the road. Even a long road trip like that, man, I feel really good about where they are as a football program in Week 5.
Yeah, they beat a really good Batesburg team last week as well. Now, Batesburg is this Batesburg Leesville's up. I keep doing that. So the Leesville people are really not liking me right now.
They're not liking you right now.
But yeah, they, Lower Richland's a bigger school. And so that, outcome isn't necessarily surprising. But also you got to give credit to Lower Richland. I mean, Marlon Taylor, who leads that program over there, he's been over there for a number of years now. I want to say at least 4. And he's doing a good job. And, one of the stops he had previously, besides Ridgeview, he was the O-line coach for Tom Knotts at Dutch Fork. So he was able to learn under someone who is, undoubtedly the GOAT, at least in active head coaches in South Carolina. And he's doing a really good job over there. So, yeah, I mean, it will be interesting to see if Darlington can slow them down, and then obviously they'll need to start scoring some points as well.
They really will. Let's run through these really quick before we hit a break. Hartsville goes to Dillon tonight, while Latta travels to Green Sea Floyd's. The Trojans 0-4, got to get it rolling. It's going to be a tough matchup against the Vikings tonight. Lake City is also 0-4. They're hosting East Clarendon tonight, who is currently 4-0. The Trojans of Hunter Conard Tyler, HKT, traveling to Lake Marion tonight. The Flashes of Johnsonville, where's Lance? They go to Lakeview tonight. The Gators are 2-1. The Gators of Lakewood are 0-4. They're hosting Wilson tonight, while North Central travels to the Fighting Tommy Suggses of Lamar. Lamar's off to a 2-2 start. Socastee, they took it on the chin last week. They're traveling to Loris tonight. It's a tough way to bounce back. Kingstree goes over to Marion to take on the Swamp Foxes. The North Myrtle Beach Chiefs are at Marlboro County tonight. Marlboro County 3-1 to start the year. Irmo at Myrtle Beach, I had this one circled, just something to keep an eye on. Jaden Bryant, 4 sacks through 4 games. Drayvon Dobson's playing well at Irmo in place of A.J. Brand after he moved on and graduated and went to Virginia Tech. Irmo off to a 4-0 start before they open region play next week. The Knights of Crestwood travel to South Florence to take on the Bruins, and the Bruins are 3-1. This is their second of 3 home games this season. And the previously mentioned Demons of Lugoff Elgin, who beat LR in week 1, they're also 3-1 this year. They're traveling to West Florence to take on the Knights. Lugoff Elgin got a chance to position themselves very well with a win over West Florence tonight to get to 4-1. That'd be a tough one on the road, but I like their opportunities with Shamil Sadiq and a few of those playmakers on the outside. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We hit the Upstate next on 4 Quarter Friday on the Chief Sports Network.
Football season. The Barn Dominium Company wants to help you build your dream home with your dream space to watch the games and entertain your friends and family. Make your dream a reality. Visit thebarndominiumco.com. That's thebarndominiumco.com for floor plans, photo galleries, locations, and to learn more about us.
Oh man, the building is on fire.
Emergencies and accidents happen. When you're in the middle of a fire or water event, all you want is for things to return to normal as soon as possible. Resto Pros of the Midlands is with you, guiding you through the process and working with you to get your home or office back in working order. They'll answer your questions, discuss procedures, and can act as your advocate when it comes to processing your insurance claim. RestoProsMidlandsSC.com. Open 24/7 when you need them. Quality that is guaranteed.
When playing sports, you want a coach that will fight for you. At Hewitt Diamaduros Law Firm, we've got your back. Whether it's personal injury, insurance disputes, negligence, or wrongful death, our team delivers exceptional legal services that makes meaningful difference in the lives of the individuals and families we work for. Visit hdlawsc.com. hdlawsc.com. Hewitt Diamaduros, we're on your team.
Check the statewide high school scoreboard every Friday night on the Chief Sports app.
This is Four Quarter Friday, hosted by Justin Hall and Steve Hall, taking a deep dive into high school athletics in South Carolina every Friday morning. Part of the Chief Sports Network.
Welcome back into Four Quarter Friday on the Chief Sports Network. Justin Hall, Steve Hall with you. We got Coach Bush from North Augusta coming up in about 15 minutes or so. Look forward to talking with him about their region opener tonight against the Gilbert Indians. We just wrapped up the PD area of the state in quarter number 1. So let's go to the second quarter and let's talk about the upstate. And Steve, there are a lot of great matchups in the upstate today, man. I'm telling you, there are some good games up here. Palmetto will go to BHP. How about the Bears of BHP off to a 4-0 start to begin the year, while Great Falls is at Buford of the upstate. 1-3 are the Red Devils. And here's a game that I don't think anyone had circled before the season, Steve. Catawba Ridge, 3-1. Now, everyone thought Catawba Ridge could be pretty good this year, I think. They've consistently been deep playoff runners, and they like their chances this year. But how about the Yellow Jackets of Fort Mill? Off to a 4-0 start. And they're 4-0. I've got it on my sheet here. For the first time since 1982, the Yellow Jackets are 4-0. It's insane. And they're outscoring their opponents. They're not just squeaking by these games either, Mr. Hall. They're outscoring opponents 160-34. They're rolling. The Yellow Jackets of Fort Mill are rolling. And in fact, their quarterback, Broden Mitchison, 105 rushing yards per game as the quarterback. And Jamison Terrell is leading the team at wide receiver with almost 61 yards receiving per game. They're playing well.
I tell you what, man, that region is looking very, very interesting. You know, Clover, we'll talk about that team in a second. They're off to a great start. Catawba Ridge is 3-1, although are they as good as they were last year? I'm not sure yet. I mean, everybody knows about Northwestern. You know, they lost a tight one to South Point last week, but you know they're going to have something to say about it. And then Nation Ford, under new coach Jake Bentley, they're 3-1. And Rock Hill seems to be improved as well. I mean, they have a new coach as well. They're at 2-2, and they got a big game that is coming up against Clover. So this region is really, really interesting as things currently stand.
Yeah, this is the first 4-0 start for the Fort Mill Yellow Jackets since 1982. What else happened in 1982? The Thriller album was released, and Epcot opened at Disney. That was the last time Fort Mill was 4-0. So there you go. There's your trivia for today. Go stump somebody at the water cooler if you're working on a Friday. Christchurch Episcopal travels over to Chapman. Chapman falling on hard times right now, sitting at 0-4. They got to get it turned around. Union County is at Chester tonight. Chester 1-3 to start the year. The Red Devils of Clinton, Steve, are 2-2. They'll host Daniel tonight, while the Warriors of Riverside travel over to Dorman Junior College to take on the Cavaliers of Dorman. Spartanburg is at East Side. The Rebels of Strom Thurmond travel to the Vikings to take on Emerald. St. Joseph's Catholic goes to Fountain Inn to take on, let me enunciate, the Fountain Inn Fury, who are sitting at 2-2. And here you go. Boiling Springs, 2-1. Travel to the reservation to take on Gaffney, under 500. Quarterback just transferred. What is going to happen tonight at the reservation? Because they never play a normal football game.
I got that one circled. Do you have another? I mean, it's hard to pick against Gaffney at the reservation, but they don't seem to be the normal Gaffney Indians so far.
Right.
And you think, I don't have all the stats in front of me, but I think Gilmore probably transferred because maybe he got beat out. And so, we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting to see, is this an upset alert game? Bowling Springs has a, good coaching staff, and I know they're going to be ready to play.
Right. And at some point we might look back and think that wasn't really an upset, as typically things tend to play out. Gaffney certainly falling on hard times, and region play doesn't get any easier. That region and that area of the state is not easy. Parkwood is at Indian Land tonight. Indian Land off to a 3-0 start. The Generals of Wade Hampton go to Burns. Burns 2-1. Their one loss is to Irmo with multiple turnovers and sloppy play. That's all I'm going to say. Maybe I'm a believer in Burns. Who's to say? Easley is at the Patriots of J.L. Man tonight, while the Razorbacks of Walhalla go to Liberty. You got this one circled, Steve, on our shared. It is just a peek behind the curtain. We have a spreadsheet with every single game, every single record, and we just go through and we circle the games we think matter. And Steve has this one circled, and I would like to hear why.
Well, they're about, I don't know, 5 minutes apart, number one. So, it's the Battle of Simpsonville, so to speak.
Yeah.
Big rivalry. Both teams are off to good starts. I have Malden rushing for 302 yards last week against Fountain Inn. Their quarterback, Reddick Langston, is 30 for 61, so about 50% there, 447 yards and 5 tutties. Defensively, they're led by, 3 guys that are doing well. Lucas, I'm going to mess these up
There you
now.
go.
Hage Dorn, Evan Haruska, and
nice.
Josh Evans, a sophomore. Against Fountain Inn, Josh Evans had 9 tackles, 4.5 for a loss, 3 sacks, and 2 QB hits or hurries, and then 2 pass breakups. I mean,
everywhere.
What a game. Yeah. Hillcrest last week ran for 450 against Greer. Greer's struggling, though. We know they're struggling. But Josh Smith for Hillcrest, running back, he's rushed for 44 attempts, 398 yards, and 5 touchdowns. And their quarterback has thrown for 615 yards and 6 TDs. They seem to be a little bit more balanced than Malden as of right now. And by the way, J.K. Stroud for Hillcrest, 214 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns, which is solid.
Mm-hmm.
But when you see he's only got 8 catches on the year, you realize, okay, he's their big play guy.
Yeah.
And so it'll be interesting to see what will happen tonight in Simpsonville.
So what you're telling me is both teams combined for over 700 yards rushing last week. I've got a feeling that game's going to move kind of quickly. I believe both teams want to run the ball. So that should be a great ball game. I didn't have that one circled. I have it circled now, as I should. Edisto goes to McCormick. The Chiefs host the Lions tonight. Northwestern coming off of a heartbreaking loss to South Point. I talked with Chris Miller from WRHI up in the upstate, and he covers South Point and Northwestern and does pregame, postgame, and halftime on the Gamecock Sports Network on Learfield every Saturday, talking about that game. And just he was giving me insight into that game that I wasn't aware of. Obviously, hosting a scoreboard show on Friday nights, I'm tracking every game from start to finish, but there are some details that get lost in the mix when you're covering the whole state. Do you know the names that were in attendance last week at Northwestern South Point? Jadeveon Clowney, Benjamin Watson, and others who impacted the game, by the way, because when Northwestern scores a touchdown, or when South Point scores a touchdown, they all come on the field, and then it infects the kickoff, and Northwestern has the ball at the 25 going in with a chance to win the game at the end. Heartbreaking loss for Northwestern. We talked to Coach Paige Walford last week. He was in a Bojangles drive-through line. I was on the beach We're obviously in two different places now. Hey, I don't know. He might be in the Bojangles line. See, but you know what you didn't have? You did not have a cinnamon biscuit. You could have gotten the
No.
Bowberry biscuit if you wanted.
Now
But
there
this
is a new one. There is a new one. If they get rid of this one, I think, and this is the first time I had it, but it's the pork chop griller. And if they get rid of that one again or next, I'm going to have to riot.
Okay, fair enough. Well, let's keep it peaceful. Northwestern is at Nation Ford. Here's just a few notes on this because I know we got to roll through these games. Northwestern needs this to be, Nation Ford needs this to be a shootout because Jaden Scott is averaging 180 yards receiving per game. And if you're Northwestern coming out here with Xavier Means, who's a track star playing quarterback, who's not run first, he's pass first. Northwestern's going to score a lot of points tonight. Nation Ford needs to score a lot of points too. I don't know if they can. Best of luck to the Fighting Jake Bentleys. Crescent is at 96. Blue Ridge is at Pickens. The Blue Flames sitting at 1-3. That's a classic looking stadium, by the way, up there in Pickens. Broome is at Powdersville. Clover goes to Rock Hill. Steve, you got this one circled really quick. A note on this one.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of already hit on it a little bit, but, Rock Hill lost last week to Hartsville 56-38. Hartsville finally got in the win column, which you knew was going to only be a matter of time. Clover, Coach Perry Woolbright, got his 100th career win last week in a big lopsided victory over York. So just some interesting notes I had.
Yeah, and congratulations to Coach Woolbright. The Woolbright name continues to live on. The Devil Dogs of Travelers Rest, the Fighting Ryan McGee's, take on Seneca tonight. Seneca 4-0. Carolina is at Southside. Southside trying to get their first win of the season. They're 0-4. Greenwood is at T.L. Hanna tonight. I got a couple quick notes. I want to thank Graham, their play-by-play guy. He sends game notes every week to certain media members. Y'all, it's like a college level game notes. It's insanity. Anyway, this is the 63rd meeting between T.O. Hanna and Greenwood. They met first in 1962 when John F. Kennedy was president. A note for Gamecock fans, Tristan Lewis has shut down his recruitment. He is committed to the University of South Carolina. Looks like he'll stay committed to the University of South Carolina. Probably going to be playing on the defensive side of the ball, but man, this offense is clicking. Jay Duncan, a wide receiver for Greenwood, 22 receptions over the last 2 games, but they're also averaging 195 yards rushing per game this year. They're so balanced offensively as Greenwood. It's insane. And not to gloss over T.L. Hanna. T.L. Hanna drops their opener to Burns, but they've outscored their last 2 opponents by a combined 51 points. That's Westside and Wren. So T.L. Hanna sitting at 2-1. This is a region opener for both teams. A rivalry game between these two. Last year, Greenwood won this one 25-21. I expect the same kind of game here. If I get a blowout from either side, I begin to have questions about the other. But this is a game that I have my eyes on because I'm telling you, I've said it every week since our preview show, Steve. I think you can attest to this, and the tape is here. Man, Greenwood is legit. Greenwood is legit. They had problems last week, penalties. They had like 140 yards of penalty yardage last week, and they still beat Lexington. It had to struggle. It was a struggle win, but struggle wins are still wins. If they can come out firing against this team at T.L. Hanna, I like their odds. Landrum is at West Oak, and Greenville, the Red Raiders. How about Greenville off to a good start at 2-1? They go to Woodmont to take on the Wildcats tonight. Like we said, a lot of great games in the upstate. There are a lot of great games in the Midlands too, and one of those is Gilbert going to North Augusta to open up region play. We will talk to Coach Bush from North Augusta next on 4 Quarter Friday on the Chief Sports Network.
Palm Casual Outdoor Patio Furniture proudly supports high school athletics across South Carolina. If it's time to make your outdoor space the best it can be, with lifetime warranties and guarantees, visit one of our Palm Casual stores in Myrtle Beach, Bluffton, Somerville, or Mount Pleasant. PalmCasual.com. PalmCasual.com. Turn on the lights. It's Friday night.
At Moultrie Insurance, our agents are working for you. Our commercial lines of coverage are well-sourced and intimately chosen. We offer commercial lines of coverage such as business owners, umbrella, property, auto, or general liability coverage, and evaluate every option to find what fits you best. Like a good offensive coordinator, we will draw up the plays, but only run with what you feel comfortable. Get in touch with our quarterback, Perry Orth, or our head coach, Frank, by visiting MoultrieINS.com. MoultrieINS.com.
Friday High School Show on the Chief Sports Network. Proudly covering high school athletics across the state of South Carolina. With accurate, trusted analysis, in-depth interviews with coaches, media, and players, and quality information. Hosted by Justin Hall and Steve Hall. Now back to the show. Here's Justin and Steve.
Welcome back to the Four Quarter Friday show. We got Coach Bush, and we need to double check. Coach, do we have your mic going now?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Welcome, Coach.
Man, appreciate the opportunity to be on this morning.
Yeah, man. So, Coach, you got a big game against Gilbert, and we don't like keeping our guests long. We kind of run a no-huddle offense right here. But y'all are playing very good football. You're 4-0, starting region play this week, or actually you already played South Aiken. But against this Gilbert team, they got some unique challenges on offense. Grayson Gunner's a quarterback, playing quarterback for them, and linebacker, a tough guy. But you, I'm sure, really like your team. Talk to us a little bit about your program. Mike Doe, AJ Hillary, which, if you have a Hillary running an offense, you usually have a pretty good shot at a W. And then Isaiah Smith, those three guys are doing well for y'all. But talk to us a little bit about the game tonight.
No, like you said, it'll be our second game, region game this year. Played South Aiken 2 weeks ago, so Gilbert's coming to our place. They're a good football team, tough team. Like you said, they're playing multiple guys at quarterback, so you got to know who's in and what they're trying to do. They're unique in what they do offensively with the different formations and all that kind of thing. So we've been stressing to defense all week. Making sure we're aligned right. We know on it, and offensively, we're just going to continue to try to play well up front and keep Mike going. And like you said, Isaiah's playing really well, and AJ's played well, and so is our other quarterback, Colin Tillman. So we're actually playing two quarterbacks, and both those guys are playing well.
Coach, this is your second game in region, obviously, as we just mentioned, but this begins the slog of region play, right? You're not getting out of it now. You're there, and living in this region, having a team. My alma mater is in this region. I won't mention who it is, but this region, pound for pound, I believe is one of the toughest in the state. It's deep. It's a big region, and there are a lot of really quality football teams and football programs and great coaches in this region too. You got Gilbert tonight, and you're not looking ahead, but how do you get your guys prepared for the grind that this is? You guys don't get a bye week until, second week of October. So how are you guys maintaining focus, staying healthy, and keeping your guys engaged week to week as you get into region play?
Well, one thing we stress around here is our goal every week is to go 1-0. It's all about whoever we play on that Friday night. That's the goal. So our guys understand that. That's what's stressed within our program is to go 1-0. We don't look ahead. We don't look back. It's always what's right now. And our guys are really believe in that. And so that's just kind of what we believe and what we do. But yeah, our region is very tough. You got to come ready to play each week. Anybody can beat anybody if you're not ready to go, not prepared. And so our guys know what it's going to take to win each week in our region. So we look forward to our region. We believe our region is one of the toughest regions in the state. So, we know we need to be prepared each week.
Coach, talk to us a little bit about having a dual quarterback offense right now. I mean, Gilbert's got that. A lot of teams in the state are currently kind of under that format. How challenging is that from just a flow of the game, getting a rhythm, and keeping the identity that you want to have for the offense of the North Augusta Jackets? Talk to us a little bit about that, kind of what that looks like, feels like.
Thing about us is both these quarterbacks have been in our program since they've been freshmen. So we've watched them grow through their 3 years. They're both juniors. They're both very talented. They both throw the ball really well. They come from football backgrounds. Like you said earlier, AJ Hillary's last name's Hillary's. That name's known within the state of South Carolina. And then Colin Tillman, his brother's the quarterback that we had as a 2-year starter. That's a freshman at Citadel. So they come from not only football families but quarterback families also. But they're great teammates. They're great leaders. Our offense doesn't change with one or the other. We're going to be consistent in what we do. And our kids believe in both of them. But at the same time, we're honest with each quarterback. Each week, they know what the game plan is, each week, and they know what's expected of them, and they know the way the way they're going to be used for that week also. So, the biggest thing for us is be upfront with them, make sure they know we trust them and they trust us, and I think that's the biggest thing.
Coach, final thing for you. Like Steve said, we run hurry up here. We try to get you in and out. Your team, North Augusta, I hear this around the state and from multiple folks is covering all these teams is, North Augusta is always just there. They're just a really talented program and known for winning. You guys you don't care about the media rankings, but you're sitting number 3 in 4A, and I know that doesn't matter really at the end of the day. But talk to their folks who are watching this and listening to it throughout their Friday about your community and that area around you that just embraces a great tradition that North Augusta has.
No, our community, they love Friday nights. They're gonna show up. They're gonna show up in a stadium. They travel really well to wherever we're playing. But it's big for us. Our kids grow up wanting to be a Yellow Jacket. It's really ingrained in them at a young age to be, and they look forward to it. But and our community supports us in many ways, and we're very grateful for that. I think it's a unique community in the way they do support us, and not only just our communities, our other schools, everybody, teachers, community members. It's very unique. It's definitely a one school, one town thing down here in North Augusta. So we're very excited about it and very grateful for it.
Coach Bush, I know you're an alum of North Augusta. Am I right about that?
Yes, graduate 2003.
That's right. And so I know it's special for you to be leading this program, and obviously y'all are finding success, so that even makes it even better for just the whole town, the one town, one dream, mantra that y'all have. And I know you're a little biased too, so I'm asking you this question. Dude, the Jacket's Nest, the stadium, the Harleys go. I mean, it's one of the best, coolest atmospheres I've ever been in on a high school 4-quarter Friday under the lights. And I know you're probably going to agree it's number 1, but who's got the next one? Who's got the second best environment on a Friday night in South Carolina, in your opinion, that you've seen?
There's a lot of great environments, but yeah, I do think ours is one of the best. Lexington does a good job. They do a great job with their stuff. So I think that's a good one. Gilbert does a good job with their intro and what they do. Every school is unique in what they do and how they support their football program, but and their athletic programs. But I do think that what we have here at North Augusta is one of the best ones in the state of South Carolina. That stadium gets loud and we're excited, and it is unique when those motorcycles get loud before a game and they get so. But yeah, we're once again, that's something our community does, and that's something they bought into. So we appreciate them for that.
Coach Bush from North Augusta, we appreciate your time. Thank you, sir. I know Friday mornings are busy for you guys. Looking forward to seeing what y'all put on the field against Gilbert. And later on this season, if you could, just, I'm saying you ain't got to drop one in the airport, but if you want to throw an alum a bone, just treat them right, please. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Coach. See you later.
That's Coach Bush from North Augusta. A great conversation. They do have a really insane intro or entrance onto the field. It reminds me a lot of Oregon. Just the motorcycle thing. But it's a really
cool don't intro. Ride them out there, but maybe they should.
It's a liability thing at that point. Yeah, you could. Yeah. Let's really quickly run through the Low Country, and then we'll wrap it up with the Midlands when we come back in the fourth quarter. Let's start in in Andrews. Waccamaw, the Warriors are at Andrews tonight. The Lions of Louisville travel to Andrew Jackson to take on the Volunteers. How about this ball game, Steve? You got it circled. Woodland, undefeated. Bamberg Earhart, undefeated.
Yeah, I mean, two great, really good teams right now. They're both undefeated. I don't have a whole lot of stats behind either one of these teams right now, but when you got two undefeated teams at this point in the season, it's definitely something that is one of the better games of the year.
Bethune-Bowman is at Baptist Hill tonight, and Swansea goes to Barnwell. Swansea is 4-0 for the second time in 2 years. This is their back-to-back years starting 4-0. Before Coach Willie Fox got there, Swansea had lost 16 straight games. Last year, they started 4-0, and then they hosted Barnwell and lost 14-7. Swansea is outscoring their opponents 166-34 this season. They're good. And they're young, too, by the way. I just want to put that out there. They're a very young football team. Not a lot of seniors there. The Dolphins of Battery Creek go to Beaufort tonight to take on the Eagles. Central goes to Blacksburg. Blackville Hilda will host the Vikings of Denmark Oler. The Mullins Auctioneers, the Fighting Xavier Legettes, they go to Atlantic Collegiate to take on the Armada. Burke hosts Ridgeland tonight. Batesburg-Leesville, 1-2, scuffling a bit over these last couple of weeks. They go to Calhoun County. The Saints looking for win number 1 this season. The Timberwolves of White Knoll are off of their bye week. They will go to Cane Bay tonight. And Carvers Bay, 4-0, will host the Fighting Josh Turners of Hannah Pamplico, otherwise known as the Raiders. The Bobcats of Bluffton are at Lucy G. Beckham tonight. The Bengals are 2-1. Stall is at North Charleston tonight. North Charleston off to a good start as well, 3-1. Cross, Caden Ramsey, committed to South Carolina. They're 3-1. They go to Military Magnet, off to an 0-3 start. And then Hilton Head travels to Hampton County in another game that Steve has circled here.
Yeah, I mean, Justin, these two teams are both really good, and last year, this is a pretty strong region as well. Bluffton obviously took it to Hampton County, which you're not going to be necessarily surprised about that. Bluffton's really good. We talked about them last week. They not only throw the ball over the yard, but they're very, very efficient running the football as well. And they've got a very high-powered offense and seems to be a very talented team that will probably challenge to go very deep into the playoffs. So, and then Hilton Head's been really good for the last several years. And so, yeah, I mean, can Hampton County bounce back and continue that, continue on that momentum that they gained last year? Which, as you know, last year was the first, maybe it wasn't the first year. It might have been. Justin, correct me if I'm wrong, but was that the first year that Wade Hampton and, they combined schools? I know it was a consolidation. I believe last year was the first year.
In my head, that seems right, but maybe the chat box can help us out there, but I believe that's correct.
Yeah. So anyways, but moving on.
Two really good programs there for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Timberland is going to Hanahan to play the Hawks. The Stallions of Leeds Central are going to Hardyville to play the Hurricanes. And the Dutch Fork Silver Foxes, as if you follow our guy Lou Bajak has said, will be playing at Oceanside in the Citadel Stadium. Will be interesting to see if Oceanside can challenge the Silver Foxes. Whale Branch playing at Philip Simmons. Branchville is going to Scotts Branch. James Island Trojans 4-0 with a very good defense going up the coastline to see the St. James Sharks this Friday night. And then Academic Maddox is playing the St. John's Islanders. And then Colleton County is traveling to Stratford, who is on a roll and 3-1. And the Fighting Jamie Bradfords, the Wando Warriors, are going to West Ashley, just down the road a little bit. And I think we had I don't know if this is the first time I've heard Jamie come off of his prediction of 70-0.
He did back it down. He said, I need to see them score more than 7. So I'm going to say 7-0.
He said 7-0. So, Justin, any thoughts on those games in the Low Country?
I think there are some sneaky good ones. I don't think there are a lot of headline grabbers necessarily, as we saw in the Upstate and even in the PD, and as we'll see in the Midlands when we come back. But I think there are some sneaky games that you're going to look up if you're following on the Chief Sports app or perhaps listening to my show later tonight. The games that might go, oh, that one popped. I didn't expect that game to play out that way. Obviously, Hampton County, Hilton Head would be one of those. I think Cane Bay and White Knoll might be one to keep an eye on. There are a few. Bluffton again. I want to see how Bluffton does each and every week because they're just rolling right now. So there are some games there that we'll keep an eye on. There are some games in the Midlands that we'll also be keeping an eye on, and we'll talk about those when we enter the fourth quarter next on Fourth Quarter Friday.
Morning, Carl. Usual?
Yeah.
Your oldest was in here the other day. Said the two of you took a trip down to my neck of the woods. How'd that go?
You might as well give me one of those Carolina cars while you're at it.
I knew I liked that one.
Yeah.
There you go, my friend.
Thanks.
Hey, Carl. Congratulations.
See you tomorrow, Freddie.
You bet.
Welcome to Dry Space Crawl Space Solutions. Basement crawl space encapsulation designed for your specific needs. Your crawl space can be susceptible to all sorts of issues, including moisture buildup, mold growth, and structural damage if not cared for properly. Let our trained experts provide basement crawl space encapsulation solutions to protect your home, improve air quality, and enhance energy efficiency. Schedule your consultation today for a safer, healthier space at dryspacecs.com.
Do your wood floors need a touch-up? Visit recoatrevolution.com in South Carolina today. Welcome back to Four Quarter Friday, part of the Chief Sports Network. Let's talk ball.
Welcome back into Four Quarter Friday on the Chief Sports Network. Justin Hall, Steve Hall with you. Region play is here for a lot of teams across the state. There are some that are still waiting it out because their regions are a bit smaller, but that's okay. And some region play has already started, as we talked to Coach Bush about. They played South Aiken 2 weeks ago to start region play. But we had a lot of great games in the Midlands that we need to get to as we wrap up this Friday morning. Just a reminder that if you are wanting to stay on the Chief Sports Network, as you should, 10 a.m., the preview show previewing the game in Como between the Gamecocks and the top 25 ranked Missouri Tigers will take place. JC, JB, Phil, and a cavalcade of guests, as I like to call it, on every Friday. Best preview show you'll find in the entire state when it comes to this stuff. No question about it. So stick around for that. All right, Steve. We do these in alphabetical order, if you haven't realized. The home team alphabetically, it just descends. It's the easiest way to do this. And I can't help that we start with possibly the best matchup in the Midlands, and that is South Point at AC Flora. Now, again, whether or not you agree with South Point being in the same region as AC Flora, just based on geographics, we can have that conversation later. But this is a game where the Fighting Tommy Moody's have Roper Winsky playing really well offensively. But here's a note for you, Steve, and I'll turn it over to you to talk a little bit about this game. But I was talking with Chris Miller yesterday. Coach Collins at South Point told him that AC Flora has the biggest offensive and defensive lines they've seen this season. They played Huff. And he said this is the biggest front we've ever seen, or that we've seen this season on either side of the line. So what does that tell you about this game? I don't know. Does it matter for South Point? I don't know. They're not the biggest team necessarily in terms of size, but they've got speed everywhere. They play defensive ball games, but this appears to me like a game that offenses could explode.
Yeah, you would expect South Point, after beating, their rivals last week in Northwestern and we know how talented those two rosters are. I mean, Rock Hill, Football City, USA, they are always going to get the kind of the Lee Corso nod, so to speak, in a game like this. But AC Flora is playing very, very well, and are led by a really good quarterback. And I kind of see an upset alert here. Not saying who's going to win, not making a prediction, but if there was an upset in this game, I would not be surprised, because AC Flora has proven thus far this season they are very good.
Yeah, again, there's a team that I think could challenge for a deep playoff run as well. C.A. Johnson goes to Allendale Fairfax tonight. Both teams 1-3. And Steve's got this one circled. It's a rivalry game. The Warhawks of Westwood, coming off of an absolute splattering of Airport last week, traveling over to Blythewood. They got a long trip today, right, Steve?
Yeah. We might need to start calling this the 5-minute rivalry, because it takes you about 5 minutes from school to school on the GPS, especially on a Friday night. It's not no traffic on that road in Blythewood. So
right.
Maybe I need to move over there, by the way, because, no traffic sounds really good.
Yeah. Especially on this
but
side of town.
Yeah, for Lexington, yeah. But now Coach Burris, man, has the Redhawks very much improved. I mean, they're 3-1 to start the year. Westwood leads, actually, interesting enough, I did not know this until this morning, but Westwood leads the all-time series 6-5. And last year won in a defensive struggle 7-0. I think you'll probably see more scoring this year.
I think so.
I'm willing to bet.
Yeah.
Although, please don't prove me wrong and have it 2-0. That would not be as interesting.
Auburn, Mississippi State, 3-2. Both offenses are flying, and I think Westwood's is obviously. I don't know how much you take away from last week, but yeah, Westwood looks pretty good. Wagner Sally is at Columbia. By the way, if you're in Blythewood and there's not a lot of traffic, I encourage you to visit Doco Station. Great restaurant up there in Blythewood. Encourage you to visit them. They didn't pay for that, but it's a really good eatery, and I think you should try it. Wagner Sally is at Columbia tonight. Columbia sitting at 2-2. Somerville goes to Chapin. My condolences to Chapin. Last week, they scored their first offensive touchdown. They actually put up some points. I think they ended up scoring 19 or 26 points, which was out of the norm for them. They're struggling offensively this year, but it's not exactly confidence-inducing when you welcome in the Green Wave of Somerville, who are sitting at 2-1. OW, Orangeburg Wilkinson, goes to Keenan tonight. Orangeburg Wilkinson 4-0. Be careful of the Bruins. They are really good. They're a really solid football team and a good program. They go to WJ Keenan tonight. Keenan sitting at 2-2. Last night, we did have Thursday night football at Memorial Stadium. Again, the reason for that, Memorial Stadium is a shared complex for both Dreher and AC Flora, so they have to alternate that on occasion. York defeated Dreher in a region opener, 35-28. Gray Collegiate is 1-2. They travel to Midland Valley, who are sitting at 3-0 this season. Newberry is hosting Fairfield Central. How about this matchup? An undefeated Bulldog team of Newberry is hosting the Griffins of Fairfield Central.
Yeah, and Fairfield has won 3 straight games on this, Justin. But Newberry looks a lot better than they have been over the last few years. So I'm definitely interested in seeing if Fairfield can make it 4 straight. Newberry is averaging 48 points a game. And the quarterback, Kenton Caldwell, has thrown for 825 and rushed for 490 with 20 total touchdowns. I mean,
insanity.
Balling. And we heard earlier in the year from Coach Fountain at Clinton, and he was telling us, like, these guys are really good. This quarterback was really good. They run an air raid. And he I think he stands back there about 7 yards back, so it's hard to get to him. So it'll be interesting. Fairfield knows how to play football in Winsboro, but this will be at Newberry, so it'll be interesting to see what the final result is tonight.
We did mention this with Coach Bush. Obviously, Gilbert is at North Augusta tonight. I like North Augusta in this matchup a lot, actually. That's no offense to Coach Oz at all at Gilbert, but I really like North Augusta's rolling. Number 3 in the 4A rankings. They are rolling down there, defending region champs. Mid Carolina's at Pillion. Pillion took it on the chin last week against Swansea. They were up in that ball game 27-20. Swansea scores late and has to go for 2 because their kick. Actually, I didn't know this until I talked to Coach Fox earlier this week. Their kicker was hurt, so they had to go for 2 regardless. He said we tried out a kid to kick an extra point earlier in the game, and it went toward the other sideline. So we said we got to go for 2 to try to win this thing. So they lost 28-27 last week. They host Mid Carolina tonight. Camden coming off of a loss to Ridgeview. Unbelievable loss to Ridgeview, by the way. It just not shocked they lost, shocked by how it happened. But they're 3-1. They're going to RNE to take on the Cavaliers, who are 0-4. I like the opportunity for Camden to get a bounce back game there, if you just want my honest take. I like that.
Yeah, I think so. RNE's struggling right now. And I think Coach Howard at Ridgeview and then also Coach Remph would tell you, they did not play their best game last week. Now Ridgeview had something to say, they're part of the reason why they didn't have their best game. But Camden is a lot better than what they showed last Friday. And so, yeah, I do expect them to continue being successful this season and this week included.
How about Eau Claire? The Shamrocks are starting 3-1 this season. They travel to Ridge Spring Monetta. They're not going to catch a drive-in at the Big Mo. They're going to play football and to take on Ridge Spring Monetta, who are 1-2. Sherall makes the trip down to take on River Bluff tonight. Again, that big region over there with River Bluff and Lexington and Chapin and Dutch Fork and Irmo, they're taking their final times before jumping into region play next week. So Sherall goes down to River Bluff. River Bluff starting to get their feet underneath them, 2-2, trying to find it under Coach Perry Parks. A lot of youth on that team this season. Southside Christian travels down the road just a little bit to Saluda to take on the Tigers, who are 3-0 this season. There's Saluda just sitting there, just hanging around at 3-0. Lincoln County travels just across the border to take on Silver Bluff over there in the Edgefield area. Silver Bluff 2-2 this season. Here's another region matchup for you. Brooklyn Casey 0-3. They travel to South Aiken to take on the Thoroughbreds. Brooklyn Casey starting to get some things going offensively with first-year coach Lewis Clyburn and offensive coordinator G.A. Mangus. They've got a young quarterback there trying to make some things happen. They got youth all over the field, so defensive coordinator Scotty Dean has got his work cut out for him there as well. A young team, and if you're like me and you have a vested interest in both Airport and Brooklyn Casey because of your roots, we have an opportunity for an 0-9 matchup on the day before Halloween. Someone's going to get their first win there and maybe even make the playoffs because of it. So that could be something down there between Brooklyn Casey and Airport. But right now they're going to South Aiken. And then finally, as we wrap up the Midlands and wrap up the entire slate for this week, Spring Valley 2-2. After having not won a game since 2022, they're 2-2, and they're traveling to Sumter to take on the Gamecocks, who are 3-1 this season. Steve, if you're looking at these Midlands games or any game as we get ready to wrap up the program, any game in the Midlands that you feel like could pop off the screen for folks later on as they're tracking some games?
Sumter had, I don't know if it's based on my prediction of a really interesting game last week, but they made that game very uninteresting by the end of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Sumter really, took care of Crestwood last week, which was a little surprising because Sumter was not appearing to be the typical Gamecock team over there in Sumter County. But they're hosting Spring Valley this week. It'll be interesting to see if Coach Norman Washington and the Vikings can have a good showing in Sumter this week. Sherall at River Bluff, you hit on that really quickly. Something that people might not realize is Sherall might be a small town, a small school, and they're definitely not going to have the depth that River Bluff has. But from what I've heard, they are just as good in their starting 11 on both sides, and they're big and physical. And so River Bluff does not have an easy game this week against Sherall.
Not at all. Great games across the state of South Carolina. We're getting toward late September. The leaves are going to start changing. The temperature's really going to start changing here in just a few weeks. A lot of great matchups. Region play starting across the state. Make sure to stick around on the Chief Sports Network for the preview show. 10 to 1. JB, JC, Phil, Mad Dog. Here are your top performers from the week if you want to look through those. And you can also visit the South Carolina Coach Association on X, and you can find those there as well. We got to hit the road. We got to get out of here and clear space for that preview show. Appreciate you joining us on a Friday morning. For Steve Hall, I'm Justin Hall. Be sure to tune in next week. We're going to have great action from here on out on Four Quarter Friday on the Chief Sports Network.
From the Low Country to the Upstate, from the Midlands to the PD, we've got you covered. This is our state. South Carolina matters to us. All of South Carolina. We love talking ball, and we love talking ball with you. Thank you for tuning in to the Four Quarter Friday High School Show. Every Friday at 9 a.m. on the Chief Sports Network. Now, back to Justin and Steve.